Welcome back to the Datarekha audio guide. I'm Diya.
And I'm Arjun. The default way everyone builds LLM products, send every request to your best, most expensive model, is also the most wasteful thing you can possibly do. And there's a fix that cuts cost by almost half without touching quality.
Make me feel the waste. Why is one model for everything so bad?
Because real traffic is mostly easy. Greetings, simple lookups, short classifications. Spending frontier model money to answer what are your hours is like taking a taxi to your mailbox. You'd never do it with your own money. But that's the default architecture.
So the move is to match the query to the right size of model.
Right size every query. You estimate each one's difficulty upfront, then dispatch. Easy ones to a small, cheap, fast model, hard ones to the big frontier or reasoning model. And the thing doing the estimating is itself tiny, a little classifier or a cheap LLM that just scores complexity.
And the whole reason this works is the shape of the traffic, isn't it? If hard questions were half your volume, routing wouldn't buy you much.
That's the entire insight. And you got there before I did. Difficulty is heavily skewed toward easy. The hard slice that genuinely needs the frontier model is small. So if you route only that slice up, you capture almost all the cost saving and lose almost none of the quality. Send everything to the frontier and you pay top price, most of it wasted. Send everything to the cheap model and cost collapses. But so does quality on the hard ones. The sweet spot is in between.
Now you mentioned a cousin of this, a cascade. How's that different from a router?
A router decides upfront. It guesses the difficulty, then commits. A cascade doesn't guess. It always tries the cheap model first and only escalates to the expensive one when the cheap answer fails a confidence or verification check. Since most queries pass at the cheap tier, you only pay frontier prices for the leftovers.
So a router is judge then act, and a cascade is try then escalate if it flunks.
Beautifully compressed. That's exactly it. And the numbers are real, not hand-waving. Cascades commonly cut 45 to 85% of spend while preserving roughly 95% of quality. Stack that with caching, where you don't even call a model for a repeat question. And this is how teams keep an LLM product affordable at scale. The expensive model stops being the default and becomes the exception you escalate to.
Is it always just cheap LLM versus frontier LLM, or is there a layer below even that?
There's a layer below. A very common production shape puts a small language model, a 1 to 8 billion parameter model, often self-hosted, as the very first thing traffic hits. SLMs are cheap and fast enough to handle the fire hose, intent classification, routing decisions, summarization, extraction. Only the genuinely hard work escalates.
Give me that as a concrete picture.
Take a finance pipeline. The small model passes and summarizes every single document that comes in. The fire hose, but the cases that need deep reasoning, real risk analysis, multi-step planning, only those reach the frontier model. You pay big model prices for the long tail, not the flood.
Here's the practical worry though. The second I route across a local model and 2 hosted APIs, I'm juggling 3 different SDKs and 3 auth schemes. That's a mess.
And that mess is exactly why gateways exist. Something like LittleLM puts one OpenAI-compatible interface in front of 100+ providers. Your app calls a single endpoint, and the gateway translates underneath. So your Olama model and your hosted APIs all look identical to your code.
And I'd guess the routing logic should live in that gateway, not smeared across my application.
That's the real payoff. And you nailed it. The routing and cascade rules live in one place. Plus all the cross-carting concerns. Perky rate limits, spend tracking, retries, and fallbacks. So if the primary model errors or times out, the gateway transparently retries on another. It turns route between models from plumbing scattered through your code base into one configurable layer.
So if someone remembers one thing from this,
your expensive model should be the exception, not the rule. Most queries are easy. Send those cheap, escalate only the hard residual, and you keep the quality while cutting most of the bill.
Right size the query, not the wallet. That's the Datarekha audio guide. Catch you in the next one.